Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Lesson Plans. I'm Laura.
I'm Erin.
And today the episode is about homeschooling high school.
Oh, this is a big one, Laura.
I know it. Hopefully we can give you some good information here to kind of encourage you on your merry way.
So this seems to be kind of a big topic for people who are interested in getting into homeschooling, but they're worried about how they're going to homeschool high school.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people give up at this stage. Like, oh, I'll just put them back in so that they get everything they need in high school. I've done okay up until now, but I'm going to call it quits here.
So why do you think people, why do you think they call it quits?
I think it's transcripts are a mystery. I think they're not sure they're going to get into the right schools. Maybe they want to play sports. There's a lot of reasons, and some of them I suppose are valid because of specific state laws and such, but I think most of them, there's a workaround.
Yeah.
So,
the concerns I hear a lot are not necessarily education-wise. A lot of times it's, like you said, transcripts. Like, how am I going to make transcripts? How are they going to get a diploma? What about prom? What about homecoming?
Right. Yep. And how do they get into college? Mm-hmm. Are they going to be able to go to an elite school, or are they going to be stuck with just, heaven forbid, community college? They want to know are they going to get scholarships? How do they get scholarships? A lot of the mystery hopefully can be alleviated here.
Yeah.
So we both homeschooled I guess cumulatively it's 6 kids. Mm-hmm. We graduated them all. We live here in Michigan, so a lot of these things you'll have to double check against your own state if you're outside of Michigan, but we'll try to give you the basics of how to survive those last 4 years. Okay. Would you recommend the people pull their kid out and try homeschooling in the high school years?
So they've never homeschooled before and they're just kind of done, and let's just homeschool through high school?
Or we're going to try it for 9th grade, but if it doesn't work out, we're going to put them back in 10th grade.
I always support pulling your children out of public school.
Okay, I agree with that. But the question I have is, do they need to be careful about doing that with the intention of going back?
Okay, yes. So if they're going to just probably do 1 year for maybe moving reasons or something crazy, they should really think about doing an accredited program that year. So when they do go back into high school, there's no problems with their credits and them, like maybe the school trying to put them back in 9th grade.
I have seen that. I've seen where they've had to repeat courses or do summer school, or I don't know, they've tried to fight the fact that the parents' transcript from their year was maybe not good. And so they tried to make the kid redo certain grades or such. So be careful. That's your first thing, is be careful in the high school years. If you haven't been doing it their whole lives, be careful pulling them out because maybe they're having an issue with a bully or something for 1 year. And you're going to, okay, well, we're going to put them back next year. We're just to see how it goes, whatever. Just be careful when you do that. Because the public schools can give you a hard time. I have seen them give people a hard time before. So just be sure to, make sure you're doing an accredited program. We'll get to more of that, what that means shortly. Yeah. But do you recommend people join the HSLDA, which is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association?
I did not. But yeah, if that makes them feel more comfortable, or if they think they're going to run into some problems, definitely join.
Yes. They provide legal assistance if you have any hiccups. So say you want to put your kid back in public school and the public school is giving you a hard time. They might be able to come alongside you and help you out. It's not expensive. I'm just going to kind of reiterate. We talked about this in our Homeschooling 101 episode as well, but it's $15 a month, $150 a year, or $1,500 for a lifetime membership. As far as Michigan's pretty lenient with homeschooling, but they do have certain subjects that need to be taught: reading, spelling, mathematics, science, history, civics, literature, writing, and grammar. But how you teach them and how you consider mastery of those programs, that is up to you. They do require us to use an organized educational program, but That just means that you have to have a plan. What would you say is a thought out plan and process?
I don't know. Because, I mean, if you look at all the different ways of homeschooling, not all of them include a plan.
Right. Right.
But I would say an overall would be have some kind of lightly, like a light syllabus, right?
Yeah. Something that, okay, we're going to, and most curriculum comes with a teacher manual or a plan.
Yeah.
So even, is it Khan Academy? Mm-hmm. You know, even online programs, it's kind of step by step. So if you were to say, I'm doing Algebra 1 through Khan Academy, then I'm doing Algebra 1, and that is the thought out plan and process.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't have to be harder than that.
No.
We do not have any standardized testing required in the state, no portfolio, record keeping. How did you do record keeping for high school?
Once they completed their subject, I just had a basic Excel spreadsheet open and I would just update it with what they did.
So did you do every day or did you do quarterly?
No,
did you do semesters?
Yeah, like semesters or like when they completed a like, cause you know, when you homeschool, you have the ability to breeze through something, right? Mm-hmm. So if they were able to complete, let's say they did like the Dave Ramsey, you know, financial piece for the kids. He has a whole homeschool program. So if they were able to whiz through that, I mean, I just updated it when they did it. You know, this is what they did in 9th grade.
Okay.
But you know, then some curriculums take a little bit longer. So I just update it as we finish stuff.
Okay.
And then I did that. I didn't really do that through elementary school and middle school, but I did in high school with the thought of transcripts for graduation in case they were going to go to college and those were required.
Right.
Which I don't even think they were required when Anthony is going to OCC now. I don't think they asked for transcripts.
I had to give Levi's.
Huh.
And I had to give Bobby's when he went. So I don't know. I mean, I had to submit it online. So maybe Anthony just submitted it online and you never even knew.
Maybe.
Very
smart
independent. So you could did you keep attendance records?
No.
I didn't either.
Because
But
we were learning every day, Laura.
oh, well, we did not. We did not. We were much. We went with the school year and we hung in there. But you could do attendance records, planner pages, workbooks, textbooks you used, sample of schoolwork. Do you have a lot of their homeschool curriculum still?
I still have some of the curriculum, yes. Yep.
I don't have very much left. I was purging as Levi was finishing them, so I was giving them away.
Well, you know, a little birdie told me a couple years ago, I'm not going to mention any names. Probably me. She said something along the lines of, I hate to get rid of this stuff because they're changing what's available to us. And
That's true.
yeah. So I've always kind of held that in the back of my head, like, oh, I should probably keep this. Or what if the kids decide to homeschool and then they can look through
Right.
what we have?
Okay, so maybe I lied because I really do feel like I have a lot of the history that we used because I read the 1984 book and I firmly believe that that's happening. But but I don't have a lot of math, not a lot of English. I figure you can always learn subjects and verbs and stuff through that. But I do have history. I do have a lot of the readers, but I probably more than I should have kept. But as far as a lot of the regular English math books, no. So if you are looking to follow the Michigan Public School guidelines, we will link in our show notes the requirements of the Michigan Public School, such as 4 math credits, 4 English credits, that kind of thing.
Well, I would like to say that when I was graduating high school, 2 math credits were required. That's it.
Now it's 4.
But what do those math credits look like? No, the kids don't have to graduate with calculus and trigonometry. Like, we used a lot of consumer math, Dave Ramsey, things I thought that they were going to be utilizing in the future.
More life skills
Yeah,
math.
yeah.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, they don't have to have 4 math credits in the traditional sense. of pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, trigonometry, calculus, all that. But it is a traditional way of doing it if you wish to make sure that they have everything, in the real world that maybe a public school child would have.
If someone's worried about getting their kid through calculus and trigonometry at the homeschool level, what advice would you give them?
Online program. I would say there's a lot of online math programs now, like Mr. D Math and teaching textbooks, and even people who are, Khan Academy has those. So there's a lot of options, but I would say definitely if you don't know that math, that maybe even consider dual enrolling for those and having them test into wherever and start them on their college journey if they plan to go to college and get those credits under their belt. Because even if they have taken it, sometimes they don't test maybe into the level they would like to in college, and they have to kind of go back a little bit anyway. Yeah. And so it's not a bad idea necessarily to do that as well.
It's important to remember, too, that even kids who are going to public school or even private school, they have problems with calculus and algebra. And what do you do as a parent who doesn't know that? You find help, right? You get them a tutor.
Yep.
You do whatever you need to do. So you don't have to have these skills.
Right.
You can facilitate the learning and help them as much as you can, but there's always somebody out there.
Yeah.
There's
lots of tutors. There's lots of online programs. There's a lot of YouTube videos, and there's apps now where you can take a picture of the problem and it'll help you learn to solve them, like photo math. There's a lot of ways to teach subjects that you don't know.
Yeah. Or subjects you don't enjoy.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of live classes now. You can sign them up for the year of a live class. You can join core-based co-ops that teach those classes. You don't have to necessarily know how to do Algebra 1, Algebra 2. I didn't go through, back when we were in high school, it wasn't, those upper maths were not really even a thing.
No, I don't even know if I really got past algebra in high school. I know I took pre-algebra, and then I probably took algebra. But, there's a great TED Talk on algebra and how important it is for your future self. It's great. I'll link it in the show notes.
Yes, you should. You should. I remember I took Algebra 2 in high school, and then mid-year they tried to trade teachers. There was 2 teachers that taught Algebra 2, and I went from one to the other, and they had totally different teaching methods. And so I remember going to the counselor and be like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I was getting good grades, and the other teachers, why did you switch me? And can I go back? And they wouldn't let me go back. And so I was a senior. I had enough credits. I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to go home early then. Yeah. I'm not going to take it anyway. So I just quit taking math at that point.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, whatever. But, so what if you have a kid that maybe they don't know what they want to do? How do you help them find their passion or find their future career?
Well, that's funny that you asked that question, because I brought a book with me. So I did find this couple online who have they wrote a book about looking for career choices that maybe are outside of the college degree, right? So that's not to say that you can't take some college classes and learn some stuff, but this is just a really good, I'll link this in the show notes for you guys, but it's called The Degree Freeway, and it really gives a lot of great brainstorming ideas to help you kind of choose what you want to do. Was that your question?
Well, yes, because maybe you have a child who you're just running through the basics of high school because you don't really know how to tailor their education to their degree,
Yeah.
You don't know what they're going to do. So you're just kind of saying, okay, we're just going to cover the basics. And maybe your electives are something you're interested in, crafty wise, or painting or art type things. But how do you help them find a career And one thing that my kids did through the tech school every year, which I thought was really interesting, is, of course, it was a public school, so they were promoting college, but they would go through and say, okay, if I am a machinist, I'm going to make this amount of money. But if I get a degree in machining or mechatronics or something like that, then I'm going to make this amount of money. And then if I were to get a bachelor's degree in engineering, I'm going to make this amount of money, and I'm going to have to do this to do it. And they called it a career tree because it was, as you kind of went up the tree, you got more what you were going to learn and how much it was going to take you and what it might cost you as far as education wise. So if you do have a child who's looking at maybe a medical field or I know Ashton did it for cosmetology. Okay, how much am I going to make as a stylist after 1 year, after 5 years? How much am I going to make as a salon owner with 5 stylists under me? All of that kind of thing. It kind of makes them think sometimes more entrepreneurially. What's that word? As a business owner. I can never say it right. Or how if they need education for their field, how long it's going to take them, how much they can kind of expect to make when they get out, because you're not making top dollar when you just get out of college. And maybe you don't need a college degree for where you want to go, and maybe a journeyman's card is enough, or a certification.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was a really good project that they did there in exploring. Now, I know that there is a test you can take through the military called the ASVAB. And that kind of just gives you I guess it's more like an aptitude test of, if you score high here, you might be a good mechanic if you're very good with hands-on, or you might be a good flight attendant. I don't know. I mean, it just kind of gives you an idea of, because I've always heard that every job in the civilian world is in the military world. And so they kind of help you, guide you into what maybe would be a good position for you. So that is something to look into. And I think, a lot of co-ops give the ASVAB every few years. You can check into that. But that is always what my kid's going to do after high school is always such a question.
It is.
Or they don't know what they want to do when they're a junior.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
I still don't know what I want to do, Laura.
You want to do a podcast. So how did you grade your kids? Did you have a grading scale?
So this is an interesting little topic, because I remember sitting, every year after co-op, we always have a end of the year party, or we do something at the end of the year. And this year, not this year, but one of the years, we had a panel of people talk about homeschooling, and it was for new homeschoolers, question and answer time. And one of the moms talked about how her household she had a name for it. It was like a mastery program. So if she did her schoolwork and she got so many wrong and it came back as a C, she had to go redo it until she got the A or the B, right? So they called that like a mastery program. So I really like that, and I kind of adopted that. We're not going to turn in math homework, or if they're working on their math and they get it all wrong, they're going to have to go back and redo it. Now, in the public school system, you do your work, it's wrong, you get an E and you fail. So failing wasn't really an option for us. But it's funny because I was telling John that, and he's like, well, no, because if you just do it and you get it wrong, you fail. But yeah, but that's not the goal. So that's how I did it. I guess I kind of adopted that, and we did more of a mastery.
Okay.
How about you?
I would say if they didn't get a B or better, they had to redo the test, maybe go back a unit and go through it again. I mean, obviously it might not be per lesson, but maybe per problem. Teaching textbooks we used for math, and it kind of auto-graded. So I just let it kind of ride. I let them kind of grade it. And, but one thing to notice is don't always think that you have to teach to a test. Maybe how often, I remember so often in in high school that it was either a group project or an open book test, or you could use a cheat sheet, or you could work with a friend to get your grade. So those are all ways of making the test easier, in my opinion.
And they also, some teachers decided to grade on a curve.
Yes.
Curve, right?
Yes.
So,
Well, Levi's in college, and the professor told him that he's throwing out the lowest test score. So out of all of their tests for the semester, he'll throw out the lowest one for them. So if they have a hard time with one test, then that one doesn't even apply. So there's always ways to work around the test. I know sometimes if they've gotten A's through the whole year in public school, they don't have to take the exam. So it just depends on the teacher, the method, but there's nothing wrong with you utilizing those methods as a homeschooler either.
So in the public school, testing is really to look at the group as a whole to see how are they doing, are they absorbing the information. So as homeschoolers, some people don't even test because you
Correct.
know where your kid's at, what they're struggling with, and you can continue to work at that. You don't need to test them.
Right. Right. A lot of families don't test in the homeschool world. But then there's the others that are much more rigorous. And so those are ways that they can kind of expand the knowledge they don't have. Sometimes I feel like an open book test is harder because they want to get it right because the information is right there in front of them, but they got to know where it is. So to find the information sometimes is more, it makes them dig, it makes them learn the information more because or in creating their cheat sheet, they get one sheet and they got to write all this information on it. They learn the information so much more solidly because they want that cheat sheet for the test.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so I feel like they do learn those things a lot. Other things to include in their grade is their participation. That's how they do it in college and in high school is if the child is actively participating in the class, they get a higher grade. And so homework, I never had homework for my homeschoolers. Some families do. It's up to you. But you could grade that differently towards their total grade. Tests, quizzes, worksheets, homework, participation, all of those things can be added into test scores and how to grade.
Yeah, it's so customizable. Mm-hmm. It's so customizable. Something I'd like to touch on too is what if you have a child who is maybe not ready for pre-algebra, algebra, maybe they're like at a 5th grade learning level. How do we give credits, high school credits for that?
I mean, I really don't know how they do that in public school. I really don't know.
So they give them the credit. If you are only at a whatever level, and it's not algebra, it's not pre-algebra, where they're going to give you that credit for that.
For algebra, even though you don't take it,
No.
or like a
Math
remedial.
credit. Yeah,
a math
remedial.
credit.
Yep.
Okay, so they're still getting a math credit.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense because I never had that, but I knew kids that didn't.
Yep.
I just didn't know what their transcript looked like.
Yeah, so I think that they would just add, whatever the math. Transcripts are not universal, so you would add the math on the transcript as it's labeled on the book, and then you give them the credit for that.
Okay.
But I don't want people to think that they can't, graduate their children if they're behind in certain subjects, because you still get the credit for that.
Right.
Because there are remedial classes in high school, for all subjects.
Right. That's true. Very true. How did you make your transcripts? Did you use Microsoft Excel? Did you use a online program? Did you Google something? How did you do it?
Yep. So I did use Excel, and then I just kind of, like I said a second ago, there's no universal transcript. So I kind of Googled online what transcript layout I liked and kind of recreated that in Excel. I mean, they do have transcript programs that I don't know if they're for purchase or they're free. Like is SuperSched one of them?
SchedTrack.
Oh, SchedTrack.
I used Homeschool SchedTrack. It has the ability to be like a full homeschooling planner.
Okay.
But it's kind of not very user friendly. So I ended up just using it just for the transcripts. And in that program, you can sort your transcript by subject or by grade.
Yeah.
So if you want to see, okay, have we done 4 English classes? Yes, we have. So you can sort it by that. Or you can sort it by year. Some colleges require them to be sorted certain ways. So when you're doing your college applications, definitely check, because some prefer by year, some prefer by subject. So it just depends. What counts for a credit? A half credit is 60 to 65 hours of instruction. So if you have taken government, usually government takes a half a year, and that's considered a half credit. If you take a full year of government, then that is a full credit, but it's considered 120 to 130 hours of instruction for a full credit.
So something to think about is when I was in high school, to graduate, you were required to take government. So my friends and I, we really tried to cheat the system, and we took government in summer school before our senior year, and we got a credit for it. Instead of sitting through the whole semester, you you just compound. I mean, I did great. And I know, had I had to sit through a semester of government the whole school year, or the half the school year, I would have failed. So you can, I'd have to do the math with a calculator to figure out like how many hours we were sitting in that government class, but I got the half credit.
Yeah.
So you can.
And that's the other thing, is if a class counts for a half credit and you finish it in 3 weeks, that's up to you.
Yeah.
I know some families that, hey, we're going to do block scheduling, and we're going to do math this month, and we're going to do a whole year's of math in 1 month, and we're going to get the full credit for it. By all means, that works for you. You go for it. I wouldn't choose to do that.
I don't know anybody.
But I don't know anybody that wants to do a whole month or a whole year of math in 1 month. That is just an option. What counts for an honors credit?
That's a great question. I don't know. We didn't do any honors. I didn't do any honor stuff with the kids.
As far as I know, an honors credit is just extended learning. So it's more hours, I think, of, let me look that up a little bit.
Do you know any homeschool families who do honors classes in their homeschool?
I think a lot of people would consider their homeschooling curriculum an honors curriculum. Abeka would be considered an honors curriculum. It's much more stringent. And I think that's how you're starting to see high schools have 5.0s instead of 4.0s in school. They move faster. Honors classes are often focused more in-depth exploration of the material. They might require extra projects, research papers, more complex reading materials. A lot of the homeschool programs have all of that built in, so they could be considered an honors class.
Okay.
Let me see here. Okay. Did you have any volunteer work or extracurricular activities, any hobbies on your kids' transcripts?
So Genevieve was in theater, and I did add that as, I did give her credit for that because it was so much theater. So it would just be like her elective.
Okay.
I'd have to look at I haven't looked, especially Anthony's. I'd have to look back at those and see what's on there, because I know that there's some stuff on there that we did not do in school,
Yeah. Did you give them any work study credit?
Probably, yeah.
Work study credit. I know Bobby had robotics. We had a bunch of volunteer things we would do with co-op.
Yeah.
That I would put on there. Accredited options. I'll circle back because we talked about that when we opened, that if you are looking at putting your kid back into public school, to make sure to use an accredited program. There are several options. Abeka and Bob Jones University both have a video program that would be considered accredited. They're regular. If you just buy the teacher curriculum and you use the workbooks, that would not be considered accredited. So make sure that you're looking at that. I believe Liberty University has a program that's accredited. There's public school options like My Academy. I think there's like a Connections Academy. Those would be considered online public schools. So those would be considered accredited. There's probably a ton of them out there.
We used one called Excelis.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's accredited.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah. There's a lot. That one costs, correct?
it did, yeah.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
that expensive.
No, I think they just recently had a huge rate hike, though.
Did they?
I think so. But it's probably still more affordable than
Private?
private.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you are looking at taking the ACT or the SAT, you can look it up on the collegeboard.org. They have all of the schedule. There's also a new one that's coming out that's called the Classic Learning Test. A lot of the colleges will take that, and that's a little bit more, from what I've heard, it's a little bit more homeschooler friendly.
Okay.
Not as based in Common Core subjects, more like we would teach our kids. So,
Have you heard that colleges love homeschoolers?
I have. I haven't, in my experience, I've not seen a huge welcome of homeschoolers. I mean, they're fine. They've been fine with us. But I haven't really seen like, oh, we love homeschoolers. We want them to come. I did see that in the career technical school, they loved the homeschoolers because they actually wanted to be there. They weren't just looking for an easy A. They were very much wanting to participate in classes and stuff. But I don't know if I just don't have enough exposure to the college world yet. But as far as I know, that's what I always hear.
Yeah, I hear that too. I hear that they really like having them. Same reasons. They're more motivated. They are doing it because they want to do it. They're more independent.
Yes. They know how to teach themselves.
Yeah.
So they know how to study. They know how to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that a lot. Did any of your kids do CLEP tests? Mm-mm. The basis of a CLEP test is that you learn the information, you take a test to show that you have learned the information, and then that test score can be used as college credit. So I know there's like study.com that you can do that through. There's some colleges that allow a lot of those, that you can do up to like 80 credits or something like that and get your associates through them. So that might be a really good route to check into as far as if you're looking to get your bachelor's while you're in high school. Some people do. It's just depends on the kid. But CLEP tests I've heard are really good avenues because you only pay for the test and then you get the college credit. So you don't have to pay for the college class. You save a lot of money.
Okay, nice.
Did any of your kids do dual enrollment?
No.
Bobby did dual enrollment back in, I want to say 2016, 2017. He graduated in 17, so I think he did it his junior and senior year. He did not get like an associate's or anything. He didn't go that far, but he took some English courses and he took some, I think, machining courses, CNC machining and stuff like that. He enjoyed that. None of my other kids really wanted to do that. The career tech school, OSTC, they could have done a program through them that they would have graduated with an associate's and added on a 5th year of high school. None of my kids really wanted to do that either. So we did not venture down that road very much. In the dual enrollment, at the time there was a program where because Bobby was in the tech school and they were using them, they paid for his dual enrollment.
Okay.
But now I think there's pretty much self-pay. Maybe if you go through OVA or something like that,
Okay.
you might be able to get free dual enrollment.
Okay.
College or military, can my child get in with a homeschool diploma?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
One thing I had a recruiter come and stop by my house and we had a long chat because he was looking for one of my kids to recruit for the military and she wasn't interested, but I wanted to ask him some questions and this is several years ago, so maybe some things have changed, but he was saying that the public schools are pushing IEPs so much that the military is having a hard time recruiting because everybody has a disability. And so what he said is that the IEPs, the schools get more funding for children with IEPs. So they want them to have a disability on their record because then they get more money. So I asked him, I said, well, how do they get in the military if they have IEPs? And he goes, well, we have to give them a test to get that removed so that they can go into the military, because you can't go into the military with certain things. And he goes, we're finding it harder and harder to find qualified candidates because it's the public schools pushing this, IEP on everybody. So that was really interesting to me. So if you have had a public school kid and they want to go into the military, go talk to a recruiter, because they'll work with you to figure out the best avenue and even the best course of study for the military. My family is pretty pro-military. None of my kids have gone into the military, but my brother was in the military. My dad was in the military. My brother-in-law was in the military. So we look favorably on it, but it's sad that these public schools are pushing a disability on every kid so that they get more money, and then the military is struggling.
Yeah.
So
Also, I remember talking to one of the homeschool moms, and her son wanted to be in the Marines, and they were giving him a hard time.
yeah.
Well, you're homeschooled, you don't have a diploma. And, she just kept pulling up the Michigan state law. Well, the law right here says that I can issue it as his mom, and that's what I'm doing. So I think he had to go to the higher ups. So if you
Yes.
do run into a recruiter where they may not know, or, this is their first homeschooling recruit, they may have to do some more research, but you are absolutely welcome in the military as a homeschooler.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely. And I mean, now I don't know if you still have the same problems, because it's getting so much more popular year after year. So these issues may not be a big issue anymore. But there is a link on the HSLDA website regarding issues with the military, and we'll put that link in the show notes as well, to make sure that you know that if you do have trouble, the HSLDA can help you. I don't know if they won't help you if you're not a member, but good time to become a member. Most colleges have their homeschool requirements listed on their website, but if they don't, call them. Yeah. Maybe they haven't had anyone apply that's been homeschooling. I don't know anymore if that's even...
I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, right. Most times it's just a matter of talking to somebody, and they'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
Did you do a year-round schedule, or did you go with the school year?
We were year-round. It just fit us a little bit better. We were able to be a little bit more free with our schedule and our time, and a little bit more lackadaisical. And we didn't have the the refresher at the beginning of the school year. We didn't ever have to do that. It was really hard to get back into a schedule. But yeah, so we just did it all year. I mean, we really love the idea of lifelong learning. It just never ends. It's every day, all day long.
Yes. We were school year homeschoolers, because once Bobby went into the OSTC, it was just easier to run with the school year because he was going to be off. Plus, they wanted to work more in the summers, or we just really enjoy our summers. I wouldn't say that learning ever ends, because we would garden, or we had hobbies that we did all summer. It wasn't like they were just sitting in front of the TV, but there was a lot of other things we did in the summer that we kept our subjects to school year. But does your homeschooler have the opportunity to do robotics, dance, music? What advantages is there in their schedule?
You have a lot of freedom. So if they're interested in learning a musical instrument, there's programs out there for homeschoolers where they're going to teach you the instrument or choir. You have the freedom to do that during the day, and then maybe some homeschooling core subjects in the evening, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say there's a field trip that they want to go on, or there's a play in the middle of the day. You have the freedoms to do those things and do school later.
Yeah. There's so many ways to tailor your schedule that it doesn't have to be 7 to 3 or 6 to 2 or whatever these.
Monday to Friday.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. But almost every extracurricular activity that I would say is in the public school realm is becoming a thing in the homeschooling world.
Yeah.
You're starting to see more and more sports leagues. You're starting to see robotics leagues. There's proms. I think I know of at least 3 that are in our area for homeschoolers. There's OMI for music, and they do fine arts festivals, and you can do 4-H fair, entering in projects, all of that. So there is tons of social specialized activities for all those classes as well. Did your kids work during school?
Of course.
What did they do?
So Anthony worked, I don't know if he was doing plumbing most recently, but I don't know if he was still in high school for that. I think he may have been. He was working with a plumber. He worked at a linen rental company.
The tire place?
Yeah, he worked at the tire place. So he got his hands into a lot of different things, and yeah, and Genevieve was working, and it's nice because they're more flexible, so they can go to work and then maybe work during the day when there's not as many kids who are available because they're in public school, and then when they come home they can do homework. When it's the weekends they can do their schoolwork. There's not. It's like we've said 100 times. It's not Monday through Friday,
Right.
7 to 3.
Right. I know Levi, he had his lawn mowing business at 10. Mm-hmm. He was 10 years old. I think he had 5 or 6 lawns he did every week. He made good money when he was 10 years
Yeah.
old. Ashton, she shadowed. That's a nice option,
Yeah.
too. She knew she always wanted to be a hairstylist, a cosmetologist, and we found someone that she was able to go in, and she swept floors, and she folded towels, and she folded foils, and she maybe would check somebody out or answer the phone and make their appointment for them. But she did that 3 days a week, or not 3 days, 3 hours a week.
Okay.
And she loved that. She did that for a couple of years. And then before she could go into cosmetology school, so that she had some exposure to her to see if she wanted to do that long term. So if you have a child who's kind of early, thinks they know what they want to be, and talk to your friends at church or your coworkers and say, hey, do you know anybody that does this? Or maybe they have horses and they're really interested in tending to horses, and okay, we'll find somebody that has a horse and see if they can go muck out the stalls for them so that they can get some riding time. Bartering and stuff is great.
Any interest, really. I feel like I remember Anthony was really into locks and lock picking and keys, and I was half tempted to call the guy right down the road, to say, hey, I got a little boy who's very interested, just to spend some time and learn. And I feel like if you have a passion for something, you want to teach people. So
Right.
I feel like these people love having kids interested.
Yes.
And they're there because they want to be there.
Right. Did you have your kids do a resume early on?
Yes. Yeah, just for practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids, I think they had a resume. Well, OTEC made them do resumes, but they have had a resume for years now. Mm-hmm. So they're always adding on to it or manipulating it to make it work for whatever they're applying for now.
Yeah.
But one resource that I found very helpful is the Home Scholar. We will link her website at the bottom, but she has a ton of books, ebooks, print books, whatever works for you. But she has a lot of information. But her freshman year, she says, think about college, take a career matching test, explore interests and requirements for such career, and plan education path maybe to match it. Not to say that can't change, but if they're learning something that's in their career path, they're going to be more apt to want to learn those things.
Yeah.
And stick with it. sophomore year, prepare for college, prepare for the PSAT, but take it in the junior year. There's National Merit Scholarships, and they're only offered once per year. So you need to get in that at the right time. I know my nephew got a full ride scholarship from his PSAT scores in 10th or 11th grade. So
Nice.
yeah, that's a lot. Junior year, find a college, take tours, go see places, and then your senior year, apply for college. Make sure you do your FAFSA.
What is FAFSA?
It's federal financial aid given to schools to help you get through school. So it's FAFSA.gov. You want to make sure that you look at things that are .gov because there's a lot of fake websites out there that will try to get you to pay to fill out the FAFSA, but the FAFSA is free and you do not need to pay anything to fill it out. But apparently you can self-pay if you don't want any financial assistance from the government. Or you can probably have your company pay if you have a apprenticeship or something like that. But they don't, but then you just don't qualify for any Pell Grants or anything like that.
Okay.
If you don't want them, you don't have to have them.
Awesome. And then scholarships, people can seek out scholarships. Did your children ever look up different scholarships?
I know Bobby was awarded a couple scholarships through OTEC.
Okay.
And then he got such good grades in his first semester or I can't remember if it was first semester or first year, but then he was eligible to get the Dean's Scholarship.
Okay.
And I do believe he got one semester of a Dean's Scholarship.
I've heard that there are hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting out there waiting to be used in scholarship money. You just have to go and like real niche things too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you're a, girl that's going into engineering, they have special, minority type scholarships, but they also have, there's tons of them. I'm not real well versed on where to look for them, but I know that OCC will send you scholarships that through email that, hey, apply for this one or try for this one. Or a lot of them are getting easier and easier to apply for. You used to have to write 1,000-word essays. I don't know about that anymore. I know Bobby did a few of those, but they were kind of time consuming and his education was already getting paid for. He already had FAFSA money, so he didn't really pursue too many of those.
Okay. All right. I didn't do anything with ACT and SAT scores. Our family didn't, my kids didn't take those tests.
I only had Bobby take the SAT. It was free through the school. I did have him take it through Waterford schools. And I just reached out to the counselor and said I had a homeschool child and I wanted him to take the SAT, and they signed him up. It was really pretty seamless. I don't know if it was that easy because we were already in the school system from him being an OTEC.
Okay.
But I actually had a teacher friend reach out to me and say that as homeschoolers, you are eligible to take the SAT free through your local school district, and you just need to reach out to the counselor. She said you may have to press a little bit because they are not super well versed on the fact that you're allowed to take it through them. But it is something that you can do. The rest of the kids, they all just took the AccuPlacer through the community college because they knew they were going to community college for a while. And so they just took the AccuPlacer and started wherever they placed inside of that test.
Okay.
So now pretty much since COVID, that's even been made much different. So it's kind of not bad. I mean, it's English now. You used to have to test into English. You used to have to do a reading proficiency and a writing proficiency, and then they would tell you where you were placed. But now you kind of self-place into 1510, and then you decide whether you're going to need help or not. So if you need help, then you sign up for the course that's longer. So maybe 4 hours or 6 hours a week instead of 3.
So for those of us who don't have children in college, and this is brand new, what is 1510?
Oh, it's like the first English class that you would take. I think it's composition.
Okay.
class.
So it's just the name of one of the classes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just their code system for OCC.
Oh, okay. And OCC, for those who are not in Michigan, is Oakland Community College.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't really, Anthony's going to college through work, taking a few classes. So it's not like he's got like a full load. So and him and his boss handled all that. So I have no knowledge to contribute to this conversation.
Yeah, I'm not super well versed. Like if you were going to a 4-year school, I wouldn't have too much to contribute, but definitely know how to fill out the FAFSA.
Okay.
Did you deal with any senioritis?
No, not really.
What would you define senioritis as?
So I had to look it up because I always thought it was just sassiness. We're on top of the world. We're the big men on campus. I don't have to be nice to my old friends. So apparently it's when you just kind of are done with school. You've checked out.
Yes. Yeah. You have thought you've reached your goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It can, did either of your kids, did you feel like they were?
We had life-itis, just school-itis, not senioritis, every year.
Yes, us too. Come May, we were done. But some people at this point, they struggle with getting their kids to finish their stuff so that they can graduate. A lot of the public schools, they do water wars. The last semester of senior year is kind of fun. It's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
It's not really super academic. And so maybe consider that when you're planning for high school, of putting your big subjects in the beginning of the year or the beginning of your first 3 years instead of waiting. Make the senior year kind of light, because by then, like my kids, they all had jobs. They all had, I don't know, they were busy. They were busy. They had jobs in their career fields, and they were just running from one thing to the next. And so school really wanted to get put on the back burner. So we kind of had to muscle them a little bit of, hey, you got to finish this up. You got to get, in public schools don't finish books. So if you say you're, 75% of the way through the program, you're good.
Yeah.
You can be done with that subject.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say to, they'll try to push your buttons. They're going to try to show off their independence, but you got to have those lines of communication open and just keep talking to them, and they're ready to move on. I really do. I think if you've done your job, they're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready to launch, and they're just like waiting for the strings to be taken off of them.
Especially because some of them are already 18 by graduation. Some of them are still 17.
Yeah. I think Bobby and Gabby were 17, and Levi. Oh no, Levi was 17 too.
Yeah.
It was right after he graduated that he turned 18.
It's scary. It's big. But, I remember being in high school and picking out our schedules for senior year. And senior year was, like I think I mentioned in another episode, or maybe this one, government. I took it in summer school, so I didn't even need to take that in school. But it was a lot of electives.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of core classes in your senior year.
Well, I think now it's a little different than when we were in school.
Oh, back in the olden days, the 1900s.
Yeah. Because I think now they're required to take 4 years of, like in public school, they're required to take 4 years of math, 4 years of English.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't the case.
They have 4 years, they have math in their senior year. They have English, where back, we could take 3 years of math and be done. Like I went home early.
Yeah.
I was like, no. If I can leave early, I'm just going to leave early. Then I can go to work.
Yeah.
So I did. But I don't know. It's different now. I think they have a little bit more of a heavier load than we did.
Okay.
But where did you get your diplomas?
So there was a website that I went to. I think it's called homeschooldiploma.com, but it's a really nice website. They have beautiful diplomas, and they legitimately look like high school diplomas. It has the nice little soft case.
Yeah, and you can get them in a couple different sizes. I know you can get like an 8x10 or I think it's like 6x8, and they're embossed and they're printed and
There's
nice
seal
paper.
options,
Yeah.
embossing options.
Yeah, there's a lot you can order. You can even get your cap and gown through them if you are part of a ceremony. HSLDA also offers this, but I also went through the homeschooldiploma.com website, and I think you can even get like class rings, just about anything that would be spirit wear type things you can get. Now, you filled out all the spaces, so did you have a name for your homeschool? And then did you put John down as principal and you as advisor?
I think so.
I think that's how I did it too. So my husband and I are both on the kids' diplomas.
Yeah. Did you have a school name?
I think it was Lakeside Homeschool
Okay.
Academy.
I didn't name our homeschool until senior year when I had to put it on the diploma. Some states require that you have a name. And when I first got into homeschooling, I was reading this and it was like, it's really important not to pick Winnie the Pooh homeschool because that stays with your school.
Yeah, and I heard for a while that to make sure you put homeschool in the name, because if you just name it like Lakeside Academy and somebody's trying to find that and it doesn't exist.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's really accurate, because if you look up Burt Elementary, it doesn't exist anymore.
That's true.
So I don't really know if that's an accurate statement, but I did put homeschool just so everybody knew it was a homeschool diploma in the name.
For those who are not in the area, Burt School was a little elementary school down the road that they tore down and made houses.
Yes. So did you guys do any celebrate the success of your homeschooling completion of one grade, of one student? Or
Yeah, we did graduation parties, or here we call them like open houses, grad parties.
Did you do a senior trip?
No.
We did that with Bobby. Then Gabby was in COVID, so she missed out. And Ashton, we went to South Dakota. And Levi, we went just recently on a couple trips, but I don't know that we did an official senior trip after Bobby.
Did you do a senior trip when you were in school? Like that wasn't a thing.
No.
Yeah.
No. But I would have liked to. But well, I can't say that. Anyway.
Say it. Inquiring minds want to know.
See, only the bad people went on senior trips when I was a kid. Because do you remember like the Girls Gone Wild videos?
Oh, those kind of bad kids. I thought you meant the like.
You can't say it.
Yes, you can.
So it wasn't like you go on a senior trip.
I get it.
So did you do it? You didn't do a graduation ceremony, did you? Like an actual, somebody organized it and you participated?
Yes, I did. 1 year. I went to 1 year our co-op hosted like a clap out. So so Genevieve participated in that. Anthony was on a work trip, so he did not participate.
Okay. But like, I remember with Bobby, we, this is the first one. So we tortured him, I guess, a little bit, but we actually did a graduation ceremony with a local group around that was putting it on. And I swear it was 4 to 5 hours long. And all of my kids vowed after attending their brother's ceremony, they would never have one. So we did not repeat that, but it was just so long.
Didn't like every family share?
Yes. Every family shared, every student shared, everybody cried. It was just, and we're not huge criers. So Bob and I are just looking at each other, and we submitted like family members to this duration. And like, come see Bobby graduate. You're welcome to come. And it was just hours upon hours of sitting there. And I mean, people were getting up and walking out. It was just really bad. And it was like a talent show. It was just all combined into one. It was, if you wanted to perform, if you wanted to give a speech, anything was welcome.
Oh my gosh.
And, it just went on and on and on and on. So we decided not to do that again. But if you have one in your area, that's just something to inquire about.
Find out how long they are.
Yeah. If it's going to be 4 or 5 hours, I'd definitely find a different one.
Well, you did a great job coordinating our co-op one, because you have all the families submit some pictures, and then you make like a little slideshow video for everyone to see. And it's under 10 minutes,
Yeah.
depending on how many kids you have,
Right.
you know.
And then they get their little page in the yearbook. Then we have them dress up in their cap and gown, and everybody cheers for them as they walk through. It's very simple, but it's not an official, like we don't give them a diploma. There's nothing, it's not like mom and dad are handing off the diploma. It's just
That might not be a bad idea. I mean, we only have sometimes 3, 4.
Yeah, I think this year we
Graduating?
have 4. I think last year we had 4.
Yeah.
I think the year before that we had quite a few though. So it just depends. But,
Yeah.
Definitely ask some questions if you're thinking about the actual serious graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to do your own. It's nice. It's just was not for our family.
Yeah. And it's not necessary. So it's not important to some kids and families, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If it's important to you, fine.
And, that's one of those things that's always on my radar to do for co-op. But I just...
You don't want it to look like...
Exactly. It was an adventure, that's for sure. Anything else you can think of that we didn't cover?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. And we'll have a bunch of links in our show notes of things that we discussed. So have a great day.
Yeah.